Okay, I think it's ready to kick this off. Maybe? How's it going, guys? It's been so long! Welcome to Maker's Muse Live. I'm just going to make sure this is working because this computer literally wasn't used for 2 months and it had to do a lot of updates this morning. Oh dear, we've got JT, we've got Mitch, Hulk 3D Proto, Kat, welcome, Brittany, Andrew. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome to this unboxing and test of the Creality Ender 3 Pro. And welcome to Maker's Muse Live. If this is your first time here, this is the side channel to Maker's Muse. I decided early this year to split off live streams because they're a very different kind of content to my regular content. This is a lot more off the cuff. I obviously don't have any ability to edit what I'm saying. There may or may not be colourful language because I am Australian. And this is just a chance to hang out with you guys and test some things out. I've unboxed and tested many printers on here. Sometimes they go really well. Sometimes they go disastrously. I got everything set up. Hopefully it's okay. And sometimes I have the roller door open, but today I have it closed because there's a lot of dogs going crazy and it's very windy, which has been playing out with my allergies, so I do apologize if I get sneezy. So Eddie is saying, please tell me that you're going to point out this crap isn't a pro printer. Yeah, okay, that's a good point. So in the past on Maker's Muse Live, I put this together, which is the Ender 3. And you guys probably would have seen my review of it. It had a lot of issues. It was a very early one, and basically Sain Smart reached out to me and said, did I want to test the Ender 3 Pro, which is this machine. And as Eddie just said, it's not really a professional machine. It's just a slightly better, more assembled Ender 3, from what I understand. So we're going to put it to a test and see how it goes. And I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat. I do apologize if I miss anything. It's difficult to look at this and then this and this. It's amazing streams work at all in Australia, I'll be completely honest. And our internet may or may not be working properly. We'll see, it is the weekend. Hill, why does the studio look more cramped than the old one? Because I just keep collecting crap. I put this in, which sort of frames me, otherwise it's a big empty room. And I have 2 rooms to use now, so like I have the upstairs studio and this garage, so at least I've got that. But yeah, you'll always run into the limitations of your space. It's like a goldfish. I'll just grow to my space. Alrighty. Okay, cool. And yes, I am wearing a shirt that the encoder probably doesn't like very much, but it is what it is. And yeah, this is going to be basically my raw opinion of the machine. This is not sponsored in any way.
Let's start this stream off right. Get a beer on me. Welcome back. Cheers, Ben.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate that. I completely forgot about the fact you could donate. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And someone called It's Not Me donated before I even started streaming, apparently. So thank you to both of you guys. I really appreciate it. I can't forget, thank you to my $20 patrons as well. All my patrons, but my 3D Expert patrons. I do need to organize a way where I can shout you out properly, but know that you're loved, and I really do appreciate it. Your support. You make this kind of thing possible, which I really do appreciate. All right, so let's get it open. I'm just going to open this as well first, which is my breakfast juice. Raptor, any combat robotics in the future? I do have some plans, but I've always had plans for combat robots. It's just more about my time. It's hard to find time to do Maker's Muse and combat robots. But I did have a lot of fun going to the recent competition in Brisbane. Okay, so like I said, Ender 3 Pro came from Sain Smart, not GearBest. Sain Smart's actually been around for a long time in the 3D printing game. And they sent me some filament as well, which is this, which actually looks pretty nice. So we'll be testing this filament as well. Will I do a review of the printer later? Yes. Yes, I will be doing a short review. stopped doing a lot of reviews, but this one I had to sort of revisit.
Who is traveling at the moment.
Thank you, JT and Teresa, for the A5 donation. I appreciate it, guys. Hawk3, are you skeptical of this given last experience with the Ender 3 that you had, or are you going to just be chilled and see how it goes? I'm just going to be chilled. How I approach these is I haven't even looked into the differences too much. I know they've got a new build surface, print surface, but I try to approach these like a newcomer would, where you just, you've bought your first 3D printer and you open it up. I try not to use external tools when putting them together, unless I really have to. And I go into it with an open mind. You obviously can't get rid of all bias, but you can get rid of some. So let me just change to a close-up. See if you can see this. One moment. Let's try that. All right. That should work. Okay. We're always fighting to get rid of packaging. Just after every stream, there's just packaging thrown everywhere. Just want to get this down. Also, apologize if I bump the mic. I don't have a wireless lavalier, so I use this one, and it gives a nice sort of room ambience audio, but it's not as crisp as my normal audio. Maybe in future I'll get a wireless one, but that's just another point of failure, and I've got so many things going on, it's difficult. Okay, so already I can see that they've changed a few things to the Ender 3. This is a bit more assembled, but not as assembled as I had hoped, to be honest. I thought it would be basically like the CR10, where it's in almost just 2 pieces, but it is not in 2 pieces. So this stream might go for longer than I expected. Okay. Right. So, often I don't bother reading the instructions, but I think this time I will have a quick look. Let's be fair, a newcomer probably would eventually look at the instructions. Dear valued customer, thank you for your order. Ender 3 is our latest 3D printer. Maybe this item still needs to be improved for much better. Ugh, I hate that approach. Your advice is very important. Yeah, okay, blah, blah, blah. I made a video on this earlier this year about these companies taking community feedback and using it to improve their printers. It pisses me off. I'm not okay with that. Whatever. So this is the Ender 3 Pro. Instructions for assembly. Okay. It doesn't look overall too different to the Ender 3 instructions. I might be wrong, it's been a while, but it's in a lot more pieces than I expected. Okay, anyway, let's get it out of the box and see what we can do. So, ooh, that's sharp. Ooh, that was sharp. Those extrusions are a little bit sharp on the inside. Alright. So we have aluminium extrusions. These are the V slot extrusions. So they are the correct style for rollers, but Creality's always been pretty good at that. Yeah, Shivel's saying they look very similar. They do. They look very similar. I'm not sure it really justifies the price difference, to be honest, at this point. Alright. We have a power supply with a 3D printed guard. And it's a very thin power supply. I don't recall... Oh yeah. Yeah, the Ender 3 one's that thin as well. Is it? Yeah. Yes. Odd. The box was marked for US, but it is set to 230 volts, so it is fine for Australia. Whenever you buy machines like this, you need to make sure that the switch is on the right one for your mains voltage. Because if you plug this in without flipping it to 230 on our mains, it will blow up. So I'll chuck that down there. I'll get this box out of the way as soon as I can. Had to keep changing back to the screen. There we go. A little bit better. We have some PLA sample, which is whatever. Some couplers. Are they better than the old ones? Who knows? We have an acupuncture needle for the nozzle. A nozzle, I assume a spare. And some more bits. Yeah, this is not what I expected, guys. I expected Ender 3 Pro is like almost completely assembled. So far, this isn't that different to the Ender 3. I'm going to be here for a while. We got the belts. The print bed guide, I think. Thanks 3DP Iceland, appreciate it. There's been heaps of this sort of revival of like 90s intro style patterns on shirts. I'm really into it. I really enjoy it. Alright, got the interface. So this is the click wheel LCD, so it's exactly the same. So far, it's exactly the same, guys. I need to make sure I can see my chat. Hey, Wellbot, how's it going? I hear you're not doing too well, buddy. Hope you feel better soon. Okay, let's get this out. Scraper blade. I have so many of these now. They vary in quality. This one feels super cheap. Yeah. I think I'll be using the best scraper blades I've gotten came with my Up 3D printers. They are razor sharp and work really well. This one, I don't think you're going to need it though, because I think the bed is removable. Yeah, it is. We'll get to that in a second. Dimitri's saying the A10M came almost completely assembled. Interesting, yeah. Yeah, interesting they didn't do the same. I do have plans for a few other Ender 3 style printers to review. Like the Tronxy XY, whatever. They've got like a similar kit. They're stuffing me around. And there's another company called Zikbot or Zico or something. Again, they keep putting me off, but I'm trying to get like clones to see if there's like a better clone than the original. But so far no avail. Okay, so this is the main component. I guess this is a little bit more assembled than the other one. I don't actually remember. I do recall most main components were put together. Extruder. I'm going to put the box on the floor and then bring the parts up, because this is a bit tedious now. 1 second. Carriage. Okay, I have all the parts. Cameron's saying that's the same as my old Ender 3. Yeah, okay, fair enough. It's assembled to the same degree. The box definitely said Pro, right? Yeah. The box does say Ender 3 Pro. I'm going to switch back to main camera. Okay. So far we've determined that I don't really see any major differences in terms of the amount of assembledness. That's a word. But we do have this, which is the magnetic print surface. I have to admit, guys, I don't want to overstate my clout in the 3D printing community, but I have a feeling them doing this has something to do with me doing that. well, not that specifically, but that. So this is the Easy Peelsy sheet, and in my review, I showed using it on the Ender 3. Did a pretty good job at that print. That's a future video. But I think them making their own magnetic surface has something to do with that. Which is a bit of a shame because it's not Easy Peelsy, it's their own clone of it. Which is what happens in China. Okay, Lone Tinkerer says the magnetic print surface is bad, 70 degrees Celsius max. Yeah, that's the same as the Easy Peelsy. So no longer are you going to be doing ABS on this out of the box, and PETG is probably going to be at the limit. It does feel rougher than the Easy Peelsy. It does feel like almost like build tack in terms of the surface. Ooh, that's... Hello. That's loose. But yeah, that's what's happened. And that's the only difference I can see. Anyway, loses magnetism and warps. Great. Excellent. Yeah, okay. So Jack's saying in the chat, the key differences are the power supply and the wider extrusion. That is what I recall now. They did say this was a Meanwell, not some horrible clone. Whether or not I can actually verify that. Yeah. For the review, I'll take a really close look, guys. But right now I can't see any identifying features on it. And I assume that the rail here is the thicker one. I don't know. We'll get to that. Bedside size seems different. It does look a little bit different because it's got this tab at the front, but I don't believe it is actually different. I think it's the same print volume. Yeah, okay. So an improved power supply is, yeah, one thing, but I don't think it's going to make it heat up any faster.
You are going to make it a pro.
I'm going to make it a pro. Thanks, Kat. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know why there's two versions. This is something I've noticed quite a lot lately, well this year specifically, is there's just a ridiculous amount of 3D printer variation from the same companies. There should just be one Ender 3. There shouldn't be two. And it might be a great printer, I'm yet to find out, but there should just be one type. It doesn't make any sense to me why they keep trying to change it. And, you know. Anyway. So let's get these parts out. We've got... What can I put aside for now? That's the filament holder. Spool holder. So I can just put that over here. So yeah, it did ship with a... that's US, right? A US plug. But obviously we don't use that here, so... In it goes. Raptor asking, any thoughts on the Anycubic i3 Mega? Yes, actually, they just emailed me yesterday or last week saying they've got a new version with a Titan extruder. And I'll be honest, I've really distanced myself from reviews for the moment because of what I've been mentioning, the issues with printers and shipping them terribly to influencers. But they've been a decent company. They're really nice with the Anycubic Photon, even though my conclusion was basically it's not suitable for most people. But they're really they took that criticism on very nicely. So yeah, I think I will work with them again next year. Might work with CraftBot as well, with their new CraftBot 3. Really, any machine that can really make a difference to you guys. I don't want to review stuff that's just been done and you know, it's been covered, like the CR10. That's why I never really reviewed that machine, because everyone else did. Okay, so I've got all the little baggies, and they are marked with what they are, which is handy. Yeah, Ian's saying in the chat that the name change is an attempt to fix previous issues. And that's just silly. They shouldn't ship them in the first place. Mitch, remember not to use a power strip with shoddy ground. Yep, I've learnt my lesson. Some of you might not remember, at the start of this year, I had a power board with a broken ground connection, which means these power supplies have filtering capacitors and they get like a fairly strong tingling sensation through the whole frame of the printer. It's not mains potential, but it does hurt a lot. It feels pretty unnerving. So do acupuncture needles. I really don't like needles. So I'm just going to put that over there so I don't stab myself. But yeah, I thought it was the Prusa originally, but it just came down to being a faulty ground. So I do have that checked now. I have a checker. Trinon is asking for this printer for Christmas. Well, I hope you do get it. I have overall been pretty happy with the Ender 3 after I fixed the couplings. So
I have an Up Mini too, and I can print raftless with either of their printing surfaces.
Joe.
I'm having issues with the printer failing halfway through. Any tips? Great to see you again.
Thanks for the tips, Joe. So, Up Mini 2, I never print raftless. And the reason I don't print raftless is because you can't manually adjust the bed. And like you've said, often what happens when you print raftless on the Up Minis and the Up Box is it just stops extruding, which sucks. You can do it. I just find it's not very reliable. What I tend to do is print with a raft. And if you're having problems with it failing halfway, then it's probably overheating on the extruder or your filament isn't the highest quality. Speaking of filament, I have no idea if this is any good. I don't care. It's going to go there. If you're printing in PLA on the Up Mini 2, then take the top covers off. That's really important, otherwise it'll overheat. And there's a little fan opening at the bottom, which you need to open for PLA. For ABS though, it does matter what kind of ABS, and the stock printing temperatures, again, another thing, are usually too high. So you need to go and make your own temperature profile. I print ABS at like 235, but the default is 270 because their ABS is higher temp than generic. Anyway, I hope that helps. Does the Pro have different Y-axis rail or alignment? I'm not sure as yet. I will find out. Okay, so I guess this is just going to be another assembly stream. Let's wish me luck. I can't remember how I put the original one together, but here's what we got to go with. So these are the instructions. There you go. So it really does look the same. And we're just going to have to follow this one and then follow this one and go from there. Alright, not what I was expecting, but this is what I get for not really paying attention. Right. Anyway, I'll try to answer your questions while I put this together. Evo Labs, am I going to be reviewing the Prusa SL1 when it first ships? Probably not. I have really distanced myself from resin printers. And it's not because I don't feel like I can't use them. It's because I don't want to recommend them to most people. A lot of people love them because they do high quality prints, but I just don't trust the resin. I know there's different kinds, but I just don't really feel like it's been properly tested for health and safety reasons. That's just me, so probably not. Hopefully no missing parts like IKEA. Yes, let's hope not. Right, so we got the 16 and 15, whatever that means. So one of them has 2 holes at the bottom, which would be this one, and one of them has 2 holes on the side, which would be this one. And we got the base, which is this. And we need M5 by 45. Go close again. Here you go. M5 by 45, I assume those are the ones. Will I review the Form 2? Already did. Go check it out on the channel. I love the Form 2. It was probably the most efficient, the safest to use resin printer, but it carries a huge price tag, and they wouldn't even let me keep it. They made me send it back. It was just a loaner. Right. So the instructions state to attach it through the bottom up. Okay. So now let's tip this on the side. Oh, that's a good point. Did it come with tools? Yes, it did. Okay. So I will try to use the tools they provide, although I do have my proper set back there. But again, I try to do this like a newbie would. So Mitch is saying, I don't think resin's any more unsafe than melting plastic. Vox, yeah, well, here's the thing. When I was at our old place, I tipped some resin out to cure it. So I just tipped it on some grass to cure it in the sun. And then I dug it up and threw it away. That grass patch didn't grow back. We were there for another 6 months. Didn't grow back. So I probably committed a small-scale ecological disaster by doing that. But that really does make you think there's something at a biological level going on with this resin, even if it's in the sun, that did something horrible. And I know resins are probably different, but that alone makes me really not want to touch it, I'll be honest. Okay, so that's the machine facing forwards, so 16 is on this side and 15 is on this side. I'll flip it around so it's a bit easier. Am I going to have more people helping out in the shop? Probably not, because I live where my shop is. It's not really cost effective to make Maker's Muse into like a proper studio where I have an off-site location. Unfortunately. There's 4 ways it can go, and there's 2 sides it could go on. So just give me a minute. Okay. That looks correct. One of the biggest criticisms you guys have is I don't read the instructions properly, because I'm too busy talking. Okay. There we go. Got to be careful not to cross-thread that aluminium. It's pretty soft. Right. And when I assemble machines like this, I don't fully tighten the screws. I just leave them a little bit loose. Because what you want to do is assemble the whole frame, make sure it's square, and then you tighten everything. So that's good. And now this one, which can go any side. Okay. What kind of designs do I have in the hopper? That's a good question. I do have a rotary turntable I've been working on for a while. I've been teasing it on Patreon. That's pretty much good to go. Just need to make the video. I have the Easter egg torture test from a while ago. I've been trying to think of how to one-up it. Haven't really thought of anything significant yet. And I do want to do more electromechanical stuff. But yeah, we'll see when the inspiration takes me. Okay. Oh.
I normally watch your live stream after they're done. So I keep forgetting that I'm actually watching you live this time. And I can actually donate.
Thanks, old salty RC. I do appreciate it. Yeah, I do that too. I watch Kit Boga, who he calls scammers. I watch him all the time when I'm in the workshop. Unfortunately, because of the time difference, I often miss him as well. So yeah, I often have his things playing back when he's not live, and I keep forgetting, like, he's live now. Oh, wait, I can go check him out. Alright, so I'm just leaving these a bit loose for now. Alright, what's next? That Bulgarian, am I aware of any printers that haven't been announced yet that it will be released? Not really. I usually hear information when you guys do. Yeah, no. I can't think of anything right now. Again, I haven't really been reviewing many printers. We've kind of reached a point where, like, machines from the end of 2016 are pretty good, if not better, than a lot of the machines that came out in 2017, 2018. So it's just been a race to the bottom in terms of price. So I can't really think of anything specifically. Okay, now it wants me to attach the power supply and the screen. Okay, we'll do that. Be careful with the extruder. Knife. Something that bothers me with these screens, and like it's on all machines that have them, when they have the encoder wheels, is like the encoder wheel isn't programmed correctly for the steps. So you turn it one click and it might move once, but then you turn it 2 clicks and it might move, or you turn it like it's not properly calibrated. And like no one seems to do it properly. I don't know what the reason is, but they just don't seem to do it right. Alright. Should we do it? Should we peel the thing off, or should we wait? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till we have it all together. Okay. So that needs M5 by 8. Why does this stream exist? This stream exists because people like to buy printers and they like to see what they're like before they buy them, I suppose. Otherwise, no one would be watching. And I'd just be doing this by my lonesome. Yeah. Yeah, I would expect for a pro version to have like a touch screen. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like touchscreens, but I'm a fan of touchscreens. The Pro is a misnomer. Absolutely agree with what Chival Wolf was saying. It definitely is not a Pro. Okay. And the power supply. Right. So power supply just bolts on the side. Just here, I believe. Yep, that's fine. And that needs... doesn't actually say the size. Do we just guess? How weird. You'd think they would have done that, like fixed that through community feedback. I'm going to assume it's M5 by 25. Let me just make sure the length's right. Yep, it's not M5. It's probably M4. M4 by 20. That'd be the one. Yeah, that looks correct. All right. So they don't actually mark that it's M4. Whatever. Yeah, Mike's saying if it had auto level, it would be worth it. I agree. It really should be auto leveling. That's really close to the print bed. That can't be right. Holes are in the right place. That's probably because I haven't tightened up the strut. These tolerances are worse than my Fallout 3D printer. These clearances, rather. Uh-oh. So, this magnetic surface is overhanging on this side. So you can move it, but it's like 5 millimeters or so wider, and that touches the power supply if you don't put it on properly. You can go over there. Yeah. Okay. So there's such little clearance between the bed and the power supply that that magnetic bed touches unless you get it really perfect. Which is interesting because the Easy Peelsy sort of tends to bite into specific regions a lot more than I'm noticing on this. Right. Okay, well that looks good. That's loose, but again, I might tighten it up a little bit more. That's a lot looser than I thought it would be. Okay, that's fine. Right, step 3. We've got our little Zed limit switch. Put the cable at the bottom into the 2020 rail. Which cable? I'll figure it out. Okay. I'm gonna wreck this extruder. So this is our Z limit switch, and that just nests down here. I see they haven't really changed this part. This is so it's all mirrored. This has got the little nub, which some people were having issues with the nozzle not going low enough. But with the thicker magnetic surface, it should be okay. Anyway. Hey, Naomi! Fancy seeing you here. Thanks for joining. Okay. I'm putting together my second Ender 3. But they seem very similar. Right. So I'll attach the plug first. And that nests there, I suppose. Yeah, it does use XT60s, which some of you might know from like Hobby King and that. I think Hobby King actually designed them originally, these things. But I don't know if they're like genuine. I don't know. What does genuine even mean these days? Right, we've got our Z limit switch. Pierre saying he loves Creality printers, but the end stop switches are shit. Yes. I kind of agree. They're really small. I do much prefer the larger format ones with the proper rocker. These often get damaged in shipping, I noticed. It's not just Creality, it's like just these smaller switches in general, which I've seen on some printers. So that would be one thing I'd probably consider changing. Okay, step 4, we have the lead screw, which is protected with like heat shrink and it's very greasy. That's disgusting. And 2 pieces of the M4x18. Okay. M4x16. Did I use the wrong ones in the power supply? Can you guys confirm if I used the wrong ones in the power supply? I put M4x20 in the power supply. And... oh no, M4x18. Never mind. Joseph is asking, does your local electricity safety authority make you comply to having UL certification? I don't know what that is. I I don't have anyone lording over me in terms of what I do in here. No. I mean, I probably do need some sort of indemnity. So you guys don't sort of get any wrong ideas, but I don't really do anything too dangerous. I don't touch mains. And I won't show mains on the channel because I'm just a bit worried about that. So that's why I like machines that are enclosed and ready to go. But anything low voltage is fine. Sorry, I keep touching the table. I apologize. Okay. So we have our Zed Axis Motor. And just do that a little bit more. And we're going to fit this with our lead screw. Okay, and we've got to turn it around again. There we go. So he sits up here, or she. I'm not going to assume the identity, the gender of my... Sorry, that was a bad joke. And let's attach this. I do like how the Zed Axis stepper attaches. I do like that mount. It's quite nice. However, the coupler does sort of get in the way. There we go. Don't want to cross thread. Right. That's pretty straightforward. We've got our lead screw, which I'll just sort of plop in. Looks good to me. And that's that bit done. All right, well, we're kind of smashing through it, I suppose. This bit gets a bit more complicated on this page. I need some water. All right. Turtle hit by a car. Angus, do you know why Prusa isn't sending the powdered PEI with the Mark III? From what I understand, it's an unusual technology. They're like one of the first people to do it, and they have very low yield. So every attempt they do, there's too many defects. It's difficult to get right. So I believe that's why they can't ship them with the machines. It's a cool idea. I do use my powder-coated PEI sheets on my machines, but I think for the volume that Prusa ships, there's just too many things that go wrong. I think that's the reason. Okay, so let's put this aside. And we'll start working on step 5. All right. So we need, nope, this one. And we need the carriage, this one. Need M4 by 16. This one. And we need the coupler, which is somewhere. Where is the coupler? I probably put it somewhere really stupid, which I tend to do when I'm talking and doing things. That's okay, we can just... Oh no, it's right in front of me. See? Somewhere stupid, I told you. Naomi's saying, I know a guy doing powder PEI coating in China now, so everyone should get it soon. That's cool. That is super cool. It is a really nice print surface, so if Joseph can't get the volume out, someone else will. There's a need. People want it. So that's pretty sick. Okay, so we have our axis here for... That's Y. No, that's X. We have our X axis. And I just need to make sure I put it in correctly. So I've got this. This is what took me ages in the last stream, I remember. Like this. And this is... like this. What? How? What am I doing wrong? Oh, it's on that side. That's right. Professional YouTuber here. Okay, M4 by 16. Got it. I remember this now. If you couple the motor to the vertical rail and the vertical rail isn't fully tight yet, doesn't that mean the motor lead screw aren't straight? Yes, it does. That will all be fully tightened up in time. That's definitely not straight yet. That's fine. I'll loosen up the motor and tighten it all, then tighten it. You are correct. I mean, the coupler does give a little bit of wiggle room, but yeah, I need to make sure that's straight, because it's not straight right now. Right. I'm wearing the same shirt as the M Mark III build? I don't remember. I haven't streamed on this channel since August, so that's a while ago. Come on. It really doesn't want to line up. Yeah, so if you've just joined, welcome. My name is Angus and this is Muse Live. So this is basically where we hang out and put together kits, and you get my off-the-cuff responses versus the sort of generally scripted stuff you'll see on Maker's Muse where I have time to think about it. This is raw. And this is the Ender 3 Pro. So I went into this thinking it would be a semi-assembled... It is semi-assembled, but a more assembled machine than the Ender 3. But it turns out the Pro is a misnomer. It's more that it has some improved quality components, but it's not more assembled, which is what I would expect from the higher price. But that's just because I didn't really research it properly, which is fine, which is why I'm doing this, so I can tell you guys all about it. But really, I'm interested to see how this prints compared to the original Ender 3, because I got that machine quite early on, and it did have a few issues I needed to resolve. in terms of the couplers and stuff. So I'm interested to see how this prints out of the box versus the original Ender 3 prints out of the box. What happened to the Creality CRX? That's a good question. It's sitting in the corner, basically. Look, I think Creality's learnt their lesson, but if they're going to send a machine that has significant quality issues, I actually reserve the right to not review it. And at this point, anything being sent out to customers is completely different to what I received. So it's probably not going to do anything. I did the stream, I did the video update. That's probably where I'm going to leave it, honestly. Okay, step 6, we get our carriage. So this is facing, facing this way. And then this faces, what? Oh, it's the actual, this is going to be really tedious. I'm going to have to fit it to the extruder. Okay. Bear with me. Okay. Alright, I was going to snip these zip ties before I can do anything. So Naomi refused to review the CRX. I'm under contract. Yeah. That pretty much sums it up. I appreciate you telling me that, Naomi. Now I don't feel... it was a bit of a contentious point. There has been a few times on Maker's Muse where I have literally turned around to manufacturers and I've said, look, I'm not touching this. I'm not reviewing it. There's been a few products you've never seen me talk about because they've been so dangerous and so awful that I refuse to review them. Because unfortunately, look, if you're in the market for like, let's say a laser engraver, and I talk about a cheap laser engraver, even if I say it's absolutely rubbish and dangerous, if it does kind of work, you might be convinced to buy it, and I don't even want to suggest it to you. There's been a few cases like that where I'm like, this is going to kill someone, or this is going to blind someone, and I'm not going to be responsible for that, so I'm not going to talk about it. Okay, this is tedious. I'm going to look at my original Ender. Okay, so it's got to go this way. So this has to go this way. There you go. Is that correct? No. No, it's not. It has to go this way. Even looking at the machine, I can't get it right because I'm too distracted. What about G-Tech printers? Yeah, they're decent. I've never really reviewed them, but I've heard good things. Okay. That took a bit. It's just a really... Like, the picture they show should be showing it from this side, but the picture shows it from this side. And it's like, how does it go? It's really hard to figure out. It's not great. Okay, get our bracket. So this one will go this way. That fits with the M4x16s. So one of those. Tilt. Oh no! Oh no! I just pulled the insert out of the camera. No! What a disaster. The Logitech has a threaded insert and it just fell out. Oh well, hopefully it stays there. Urge to kill rising. So, it's still incredibly fiddly. Like, look, you'd have to really enjoy this sort of thing. I can imagine someone getting this on Christmas, and if they've never put together like a difficult Meccano set or something, they're going to struggle. They're going to really struggle, even though it's half put together. That's why I really do recommend assembled machines. For newcomers. Belt. Alright. Belt is next. The hair is epic and cute. Thank you. I've been getting some comments being like, oh, you changed your hair. I never expected you would do that. It's like, you guys don't know what I do. Like, in high school and uni, I used to have bright hair. Like, I used to have, I had pink hair for a while by accident because I put red in and it faded instantly to pink. So it's not uncommon for me to have ridiculous hair. Also, if you go back to some older videos, I'm often wearing like rave pants in them. You just might not really see it. I would still be wearing them, but all of the rave pant stores don't exist anymore. So I am quite sort of flamboyant in that regard. I've always been like that. You gotta do you, you know. You gotta have your whatever makes you happy. Mohawk next. Okay, that's where I probably pull a line. I probably draw the line at a mohawk. Not sure I could actually keep one. The maintenance is ridiculous. Okay, so this belt has to go through here. And under the extrusion, which is a bit annoying. Okay, there we go. Angus has layers like an onion. Cakes have layers. Oh no. Come on. Alright, I have to do that again. I got twisted. Come on. If anything, if these streams achieve anything, it reminds all of you that I am just a noob when it comes to putting stuff together as well. Like, I don't magically know how things go together. I've done it before, but it doesn't make it any easier. So you can feel okay when you put your kits together and things are challenging and all that. Because I struggled too. Okay, so Creality has these strange little crimpy things that go through like this. I'm not a crazy fan of it. You can see here. I think that they'll damage the belt over time because it's at a sharp angle in the sheet metal, but it works. Yeah, whatever. It is easy to put the belts on though. I will give it that. Need a video about your rave pants and hairstyles through the ages. A lot of that's going to be lost to the ages, unfortunately. But if I can get a good pair again, I will buy them. It's just you don't want to buy pants online because you don't know if they fit, you know? And especially with the rave pants and that. They're often baggy, so you want them to be baggy but not falling off. Okay, let's try to get this in place. There we go. So this is the idler. And the idea is that you put this in place and then push on it and then tighten it. Loosen it, then tighten it, because I need to get the T-slot engaged. There we go. Like that. Now we have our axis. What's that? You want me to say aluminium? Aluminium? Or soldering? Or vase? Pronunciation's interesting. Step 8. I've just done that. Alright, that's fine. Okay, so now we need to put this bad boy onto this. So I'll take this off and I will loosen that up as well, which you guys did mention. The stream is very relaxing. I'm glad. Thank you for watching. It is fun to do this. It's like doing it with friends. Putting together a kit is something you can do while doing other things like socializing. Again, often I have streams on when I put stuff together normally anyway, so I'm just doing the stream. It's totally fine. Okay. Oh, that one's a bit too loose. Alright, so everything's still loose. I'm going to put this on and then tighten it up. That's not going down. Sorry, I just realized you can't see that at all. Okay. This side's actually too loose. So I'll have to loosen that up. Sorry, too tight, rather. There you go. Good. Ooh. Let's not do that. There we go. It's a thing. Browser cache. I do actually interchangeably use cache. That's one of the weird ones. I do say cache or cache. It depends. But I will never say vase. I'll always say vase. Would I recommend any multi-material printers? Not really. I am keeping an eye on the IDEX system machines, like the words fail me. Anyway, the ones with independent extruders, and they're actually on independent rails. They're pretty cool. Otherwise, I just don't care for multi-material. Maybe it's just a personal choice. I just find 3D printing is not reliable enough on its own. I don't really want to add more complexity to make something multi-material when I could just print it in multiple bits and then assemble it. That's just me. Okay. So that's pretty good. let's not get into a grammatical debate, please. There's plenty of American 3D printing channels. There's plenty of Australian 3D printing channels. There's plenty of European 3D printing channels. And we will all speak in our native tongue. Unless you're Tom, who speaks in English, but he's German. But that's okay, because that's his choice. So everyone's allowed to pronounce things however they want. It's no issue. Also, I did say Z for a very long time because I was brought up on Sesame Street. So a bit of a mixed bag. Step 10 needs something. Needs the top brace. All right. Which is this thing. This is all that's left. So what's different? This is the same. These are the same. See, they're the same thickness. And the base is the same thickness, so it's just the power supply and the print bed. I'll do a proper comparison later, but it's not a big difference. Naomi can't say V. Yeah, that's a dialect thing, but I totally understand. Like, I trying to order a lemonade and vodka when I was in China was interesting. I can't even remember what it was like. Vodka Shrepi? I'm sorry, I butchered it. But yeah, like the language is so complicated. I should learn it really, but I'm really so bad at language in general. The y-axis section. What, this one? It's the same. The bottom rail is on its side now. Bottom rail. But these ones are 2x2. Center rail is 40x40 on bottom. This one's 40x40 on the bottom. I mean, I can't easily show it to you, but it's exactly the same. Oh, right. Nah. This one. That's thicker. Got it. That's a weird place to change things, though. Okay. Alright. That is fair. It took me a long time to realize. I still will say Z sometimes, just because I mix it up, but yeah. I do try to say Z. Okay, thank you for pointing that out, guys. So we do have a 40x40 here now, not 40x20. So that gives us a wider section for the rollers. That's still really loose. But anyway, let's get this in place. Enough dilly-dallying. Would I recommend the Mark III kit to a noob? Probably not. Again, here on Maker's Muse, I always subscribe to the 3D printing as a tool mentality. That's why I use it. And if you are a noob, there's going to be a lot of things that go into the Mark III that might make your 3D printing experience negative. It's not difficult. The instructions are fantastic, but there's a lot of parts. There's hundreds of parts. And if you get them wrong or stuff it up, it's going to significantly affect your ability to print. And the printer might work for a bit, but then maybe your belts are loose, or maybe some screws are loose, or maybe some things are not sort of bolted in correctly. So yeah, I would actually recommend to get an assembled one if you're just completely new to 3D printing. What would be my recommendation for an affordable, small but reliable printer for ABS? Up Mini 2. Yeah, look. Okay, I'm gonna need some water for this. Okay. Here's the thing about tier time. My first experience with 3D printing was a really crappy Prusa i3 style kit. It wasn't a Prusa. And I used an Up Plus, which is like their old one from tier time, at a makerspace. So when the Up Mini came out, I pre-ordered it and I got it. And it was a fantastic printer. But tier time's a really weird company in that they don't really listen to feedback. So what sort of happened is, like, the Up Mini 2 is a great printer for me personally, but they did things that just were strange. Like, it's got a door on the back. It doesn't have a filament out sensor, but it has a door sensor. And it took them ages to make their slicer open and listen to feedback that, we want to be able to change things. And a lot of people really hate that. And also the fact that they try to make you locked into their filament by making the temperature defaults too high. Like 270 degrees is the default ABS temperature, which is wrong for most ABS. So most people don't understand that, and they go buy them and they're like, this printer sucks, because they buy second aftermarket ABS and they're like, it's not working. It welds to the print surface, welds to the raft. But if you get it working well, it's my most used small machine, next to the Cetus, which is, again, another tier time printer. But then they've got these new machines coming out, which I couldn't care less about, because like the Upbox wasn't very good. So they're a really weird company, but I do still recommend the Up Mini 2. And it's just how it is. I don't know. I think a lot of people just don't like that it's a closed system. It's not open. It's a closed ecosystem that, in my experience, works really well. There we go. That's my feedback on the Up Mini 2. Okay, I'm going to tighten all this up. Let's change the angle. There you go. So let's put this down. Yeah, a lot of people talking about bed leveling. I wish I did have bed leveling, I really do. But unfortunately, it doesn't. And also, a lot of companies are getting confused with what bed leveling actually is. They're like, oh, smart assist bed leveling, where it moves to the points. That's not at all useful. I mean, printers have been doing that for years. If it doesn't have automatic bed leveling, then don't say anything that could be misconstrued as automatic bed leveling. Notice you're alternating the tightening of the screws in the top rail. That's a good point to emphasize keeping things flat square. Yes, that's a good point too. You want to tighten things alternately. They're not even fully tight yet either. You want to do it in bits to make sure everything's nice and trammed. I mean, that's pretty tight. It's not really smooth. What I might do is just loosen these two screws. So I think this is a little bit in the wrong place. It's still pretty tight. Okay. Might just slightly loosen the lead screw nut just to reposition it slightly. Feels a little bit crunchy. That's a good point, actually. The machine doesn't even say Pro on it. It just... A lot of it's probably from the same batch. Come on. Okay. That's a bit easier. So these are things that you wouldn't really think to do as a newcomer, like adjusting the lead screw nut. I know to do that because it's tight, and it shouldn't be as tight as it is. But if this is your first printer, you won't know to do that.
I'm thinking of upgrading from the Up Mini to any suggestions?
Thank you. Thank you, firstly, Joe. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, it's a really hard one. Like, ABS becomes really challenging at bigger print volumes. The Up Mini 2 is a good sort of balance of like a small print volume, but really the only machine I've ever used that did ABS well at a bigger volume was maybe the Upbox, but that was not, I can't really recommend the one I tested. The Cubicon single, that was really good. It's very expensive. Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. Maybe check out the newer Upbox. That did do ABS fairly well without warping. You're going to need a big enclosure, which is going to be pretty expensive. The Cubicon single was amazing, but like that actually had a mechanically leveling bed, but it was like 5,000 Australian dollars, which is like what, 3,000 US? Yeah. But if you don't care about printing ABS, then pretty much anything will go. People are recommending the Adventurers from Flashforge. Definitely worthwhile checking out. Okay. So, we've done all this. I think we were pretty much good to go. We just need to do the plugs. I'm not going to bother with the little... Oh, fine. I'll do it as per instructions. I'll put the little end covers on. They are sharp, to be fair. They do say Creality 3D. And I have tightened these up. Let me just double check. Oh, no, just a little bit more to go on these. Right, we're good. And the spool holder, which I'm not going to use right now. I'm just going to use this just from the side, just for the moment, because I don't really like top-mounted spool holders. But that is the spool holder. They want it there, but you could put it anywhere if you so choose. How big is big for ABS? In my opinion, anything over about 180 millimeters by 180, that's pretty big for ABS. 200, big flat plate, 200 millimeters across, you're going to really struggle without an actively heated chamber or something that's very hot. And even if you do get it sticking down, you might get delamination further up as it rips apart. Like the Raise N2 Plus will do it, but it uses a lot of heat to do it. And okay, plugs. So I'm just plugging in all the stuff, the main power connector, which is the XT60. The plugs are all marked, which is nice. So obviously, like the Z one goes in the Z. I can't really show this easily. Is the filament spool holder the same as the Ender 3? It's identical. Yes. Yes. Exactly the same. Alright. This is a little bundle of cables for the extruder. They are all marked, which is nice. Still a little bit crunchy. Might free up. And the Zed limit switch. That one. It goes like in behind. That's a pretty challenging one to get in place. And we've got our screen. Right. Get this man a CR10S Pro. Again, like, I just wasn't keen. Like, I don't need good printers to print my projects, that makes sense. I review these for you guys. And they often get donated to, like, educational institutions or people who need machines afterwards. I do keep some of them for comparison. But yeah, like the CR10s have been done to death. You guys don't need more reviews of them. Even if you'd rather my reviews, which I do appreciate, you don't need them. This plug, can't remember which one it goes in. Give me 1 second. Okay, one right at the end. Yes. So the LCD goes into EXP3, I think. Don't forget to check the power supply 110 to 230. Yep, it is already checked. I did already check it. It is on 230. So don't have to worry about that. I think we're good to go. So I don't have the plug, so I'll just steal one from a Prusa. Right. Interesting, there's got the 3D printed cover here when that one is not 3D printed, so they must have only done some stuff for the Meanwell power supply. And the power for this is over here somewhere. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure it works, and then I'm going to tighten the bed up, and then we can do the nozzle leveling, nozzle height, and let's try to print something. Yes, I will do a test print. All right, bang. Alrighty. Can't really see it. There we go. All seems okay so far. Where's the kabloom I'm expecting? One day I will put a print together that will actually explode. I guarantee it. Something's going to go horribly wrong. Maybe if I do like a live robot combat build or something, I'll like plug it in backwards and all the speed trolls will just explode. Who knows? That belt is really loose. So these are the parts that it came pre-assembled with. That belt's mega loose. But so is the bed. So that homes, I'll turn it off for now. And we need to tighten that bed because it's really loose. Let's change to this camera, shall I? Alright. You see how much wobble there is there? It's quite a bit. So we'll use a little little wrench to bring those wheels closer. There we go. Still a little bit loose. Right, that's pretty good. So with the rollers, you kind of want to tension them to be pretty good, and then after a few prints, come back and see how they're going. Make sure there's not excessive wear or they're getting looser again. And this belt's quite, you know what, it's okay for now. I'll do some prints and then see how it goes. Alright, plug them back in. Is there a optimal belt tension for GT2? I don't understand. There's an idler, it's just a bit loose. So I can adjust that later. Alright, how are we going? Yep, seems to be working still. Okay, so going to get my print bed, which is this magnetic one. So if you're just joining, the changes to the Ender 3 Pro is this magnetic print surface. You notice how it's sort of wanting to latch in at certain points. So it wants to join at a point which overhangs this side, which will touch the power supply. So I'm going to have to figure out how to do it. Ooh, that's annoying. That's really annoying. Uh-oh. Okay, close-up camera for this. Oh, we're already out close-up camera. Okay, so you notice this print surface wants to stick in certain positions. It wants to stick here. And when it comes here, it wants to hit the power supply. Because the magnetic poles are lining up here. So I'm gonna have to cut this. What do you guys reckon? Can you think of any alternative? Because if it's snapped on the next one across, which is this one, it's way far over and it won't go on that side. See what I'm saying? So what I'm going to do is just put it in place and then trim it. It's a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit weird. Once again, small things that beginners just don't need. I'm going to need to find some scissors. One moment. Ooh, someone just said rotate it 180 degrees. Hold on, let's try that. Ooh, yeah, it just clears at 180 when you rotate it 180. Whoever said that, good idea. I mean, it's really not optimal. The logo's backwards now. But it means I don't have to go find scissors. I will do that later. I'll cut it down later. Cool. Okay, so let's do some bed leveling, shall we? If you guys have never leveled print beds before, how I do it is I tighten the four corners all the way down, I home, and then there's probably a bed leveling routine in here that moves it to points. I'll find out. But I will be honest, it's a very archaic way of doing it. So Adverse Effects is saying the power supply upright can sit 20 millimeters out if you rotate it. That's true. I did think it was a bit strange when I was putting it in. It does clear now. so it's okay, but I'll consider doing that after the stream when I'm playing with it a bit more. Okay, so that's all the way down. That's home. Right. I've already answered that question about the Art Mini 2 like 3 times. I'm not answering it again. It is still my recommendation, even if the Amazon reviews are not that great. Is there any bed level assist in this machine? Can anyone comment? Let's put the SD card in. Which way does it go in? I don't remember. No. Nope. Alright. Great. So they couldn't even bother putting a routine in to help to level the bed. That's fine. I'll just do it myself. Okay. Right. Okay, that's fine. Don't you dare. If these springs can't hold the bed at maximum extension, I'm going to be pretty angry. I will loosen them all up a bit. But it seems that the bed is not quite right to the nozzle, and the knobs are loose. They're not tensioned on the springs. That one's alright. So most people replace the springs. These companies really like getting negative reviews, don't they? Right. I mean, this is months after my previous review. Keep that in mind.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do. This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it. Just some fun with the computer voice.
Thanks, Carl. Okay, looks like I can just get it. So it might be a bit too far at the moment. But I'd rather that than too close. So let's do a test. I do know that Chuck just did a video on bed leveling on the Ender 3, so I'll definitely be checking that out after this stream. Come on. Like, what's the difference between prepare and control? I always think control the motors, but no, it's under prepare. Like why? I've never understood it. So I'm just moving the Z axis up a bit to heat up the machine, because if the nozzle is really close to this surface, it'll probably start melting it. Okay, so the defaults for the PLA looks like 185 degrees on the nozzle, and it doesn't look like it's going to warm the heat bed up. We'll see. They ship the beds loose so you won't get a flat spot on the wheels. I think they ship them loose because they don't have to calibrate them, and it's quicker. That's just my theory. Alright, let's check out the Sain Smart filaments. So if you're just joining, we've just put this together. This is the Ender 3 Pro. The Pro seems to be a misnomer. There seems to be very little differences in this machine to the other Ender 3, which I reviewed not too long ago. Well, a little while ago. So this machine was sent to me by Sain Smart, and they sent me some filament as well. So we're going to be using Sain Smart's PLA on this machine. Is the Bowden tube hooked up? Not yet. That just needs to go into the coupler.
I bet that it wouldn't work right out of the box. So here's my wager.
Thanks, Mitch. I don't know. I mean, now I've got it kind of together. It should print. I just might not print well. So something Sain Smart was boasting to me about was their wines, and that's actually a pretty nice wine. There you go. That's pretty clean. I've seen a lot worse. That's quite nice. Definitely got a computer-controlled spooling machine. Spool's kind of thin, clear plastic, but yeah, it's nice. And they've got these little guides to tell you how much filament's left. You see that? That's pretty cool. Whoop. Right, so I do need to hook the coupler up, that's fine. Let's do that. So I'm hoping these couplers are better than the old ones. I mean, they still move. Like, it doesn't really lock them. They still move about a millimeter? Whatever. I cut my PLA in a little sharp point, which helps you feed it through the Bowden. There we go. The coupler will work for about 15 minutes. Okay, great. If this is what they're sending out, this is what they're sending out. It's not my fault. So it looks like the actual... you can't really see the screen from that angle. No, you can't see it. Okay, never mind. So the screen has, in terms of demo files, we've got the dog, which is a long print. But we'll just start it to see if it works. Why not? Should the leads from the head be to the left side so it's not all under the top brace? No, maybe. I mean, my Ender 3 does that and it seems to work. And you've got the tube has to be there. I can change that. Time for a maker coin? Yeah, so... we'll see if this works. And I might just rip the SD card out from that machine because I've got some shorter prints on it. And in theory, they should be identical. They should both have the same printing settings. So let's try that. Torture egg takes like 15 hours. Depends on the size, but yeah, I don't think we have time for that. So it's warming up. The print bed is default to 50 degrees. Which is, I mean, that little power supply is going to be working pretty hard.
I bet you can't pronounce my name, smiley face.
Nope. I don't know what that symbol is. I'm sorry. Uvind. It's not how you pronounce it. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. Oh, probably shouldn't put water on near the printer. So default is the PLA's at 200 degrees and print bed's at 50. This might be a little bit too far away. I'll just see if I can dial it in on the fly if I have to. Yeah, it's too far. Alright. That looks pretty good. I'll give you a close-up in a second. Time to drive the nozzle straight into the bed and destroy it. That's what happened to the JG Aurora A5. So I used the board for the JG Aurora A5 in my Fallout 3D printer, and I found out that if one of the plugs on the stepper motor fails slightly, all the motors start vibrating violently. So if one of the plugs comes out from one of the coils, because it's a bipolar stepper, it's got two coils, it just starts vibrating. So I found the machine doing that, just destroying its own print bed, and it's destroyed its ultra base print bed doing that, which is partly the reason I just ripped it up, because I'm like, it wasn't a good machine. Mine was super early and it was full of 3D printed parts. Okay, well, that seems to be working. Should I get an Ender 3 standard? Yes. I would say at this point of time, this hasn't been worth the upgrade price. The nicer power supply, yes, that's true. However, I don't know if they've upgraded what they should have done. The extruder isn't different, it's the same. And there's no automatic bed leveling, the screen's the same. It's pretty much the same machine. Just, all intents and purposes, it's just more expensive. So I would probably go with the original Ender, Ender 3. Okay, see if I can give you a close-up of it. Spin this around. And do this. There you go. I haven't peeled this off. Let's do that. Satisfying. Okay. That's a good point. Like, what would I make this into? What do I do to make this into a Pro? Well, personally, I would have a direct drive extruder. I don't like Bowden. I think it's stupid. I've always gotten best results off a direct drive. So I would do that. I wouldn't bother about the power supply. I'd leave it. Meanwell's nice, yes, but I haven't had any issues with the other power supplies. I've never had a power supply blow up on a machine like this. Actually, I've never had a power supply blow up. I've been pretty lucky. I've had a computer power supply blow up. So I'd have a direct drive extruder, and I would have a BL Touch or similar auto leveling, and I would get rid of these this system of leveling the bed. I would make it sit pretty much completely flat with, you know how the rollers have an eccentric nut? You can get similar things for like flat surfaces to raise them or lower them by just a few millimeters, or like even just 1 millimeter. I would have those in all the corners, so you use that to adjust the bed to be trammed. And then when it's really close, you just use the automatic bed leveling and mesh leveling to get it right. That's what I would do. Absolutely. The flexible surface is great for PLA. If you're okay with that, then fine. But this is not going to do ABS anymore, unless you change the bed to something else. Yeah, that would probably do it. I don't know why they didn't do that. Okay, so 3D Printing Llama is saying it's 24 volts, from what they understand. Really? Okay, I'll check that out. I'll verify all these claims. How good does the filament seem? Really nice, actually. Seems to be working quite well. It's well wound. Sain Smart's one of those weird companies. They've been in the 3D printing space since I was in uni, like a long time ago. But they've been pretty quiet. Now they're sort of catching up. They've been making filament for a long time. It does have a PLA smell to it. A lot of people have been asking me about the whole emissions thing. Look, I don't live in this room, and when I'm printing, I'm usually not in it, and I usually print PLA. That doesn't concern me too much. If I was printing ABS in an enclosed space, yes, that would concern me. But look at the plastics industry. We've had people doing, extrusion, injection molding, roto molding, what some alternatives, like loads of plastic manufacturing industries which deal with thousands of tons of plastics a week. Like, I'm just making numbers up, but basically like way higher volume of plastic being melted in these rooms. And yes, they have ventilation and stuff, but surely if you're a worker working next to an injection molding machine, you're exposed to a lot more fumes than a 3D printer. Surely, or even the machines that make the filament, like machines that make fishing line. So, unless I see documented research into that, I think it's still just hype. That's just me. Naomi say, I'm not sure what the resistance to bed leveling is. Hopefully once they see how well people like it on CR10 Pro, they'll push it out across the line. Yeah, I think it's in 2018, it's a must-needed feature. Like, I can't tell you how much of a joy it is to use a machine that doesn't need leveling. It's just so much. It's like that extra bit of resistance removed to making this machine accessible. Because I can guarantee you, the majority of machines that get returned for refunds are because of bed leveling. I absolutely guarantee you the machines that were like at Aldi, people couldn't figure out bed leveling, took it back too hard. You know, my printer's broken, it's failing. It's because the bed's not level. And it is hard. It's figuring out how to do it, because you're leveling it, but with 4 points, but it's really you only need 3. It's it's awkward. It is absolutely awkward. Is it quieter? No, it's about the same. This seems to be about the same as the Ender 3. I can't tell any real difference. I'm just going to fire up the Ender 3 and see what I've got in the G-code for that one. Just give me one sec. I don't really have anything small on that printer either. We'll just let this run for a while. I'm happy to stay for as long as you guys want, answer your questions. Yeah, it's just really good to hang out again here on the Makers Muse live channel. Could you easily add a BL touch or proximity sensor to the Ender 3? You'd have to change the firmware. You definitely could, but you'd have to change the firmware. Yeah. Hill CT, I bought some Sain Smart PLA 2 years ago. It was a dumpster fire. Looks like they've come a long way. Yeah, actually, interesting, fun story about sort of companies coming a long way. eSun was one of the first companies to make filament. And I recall a forum post of someone posting a picture of a microscopic bearing, like a machine ball bearing, they had in eSun filament, and it had gone into their nozzle and jammed it up. And like, this is eSun, like one of the biggest manufacturers of filament today. That's how far they've come. So the fact that this is so nicely wound shows that Sain Smart obviously knew that they needed to pick up the game. And yeah, I'm quite satisfied with that. They sent some PETG as well, but not really game to print that right now. It's this nice translucent-y PETG. Might do something with that in the future. The filament's called the Pro 3 series. Everything's Pro. Have I done a show and tell of my Fallout printer yet? Yes, I have. I released that to patrons earlier this week, and it's now live on the channel, so it went live yesterday, yeah. It's about 27 minutes of me going through all the details of the machine, and it was a good build. I really did enjoy it. It was challenging. Trusty Tree, if I could speedrun any game that currently exists, what would it be? That's a really interesting question. I would speedrun... you know what? I'm actually completely against speedrunning. I enjoy playing games slowly. But... probably Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Probably Shantae, yeah. I go back and play that game quite often. I think it's my favorite Shantae game. The latest one, I wasn't a big fan of. Manny's saying that Teaching Tech added a BL Touch to his Ender 3. Teaching Tech's another Australian YouTuber you should go check out. He does a lot of awesome stuff on the lower end machines, so go check him out. Yeah, so if he's added a BL Touch, it's definitely possible. He does good tutorials on how to do it too. Have you and Joel from 3D Printing Nerd ever met in person? Yes, we have. Last year I went to the Bay Area Maker Faire and the New York World Maker Faire, and I met him at both. Unfortunately, I haven't gone to any international events this year. Otherwise, I would have seen him again, and I would have seen Naomi at New York, which I regret not going to. Might do Bay Area Maker Faire next year. It's just, international travel is difficult for me. This is a bit of a struggle, because Australia is so far from everything. Creality Dog G-code has 10mm of retraction. Does it affect the lifespan of the couplers? Probably. 10, I think Bowden's you need a lot of retraction, but 10's pretty extreme. I would say the thing with Bowden's is you need really good clearances, really good tolerances, really close fitting parts. If this tube is too loose, you'll get slack in the tube. If the couplers are poor, you'll get them moving with the tube. And if the meeting of the tube and the nozzle is poor tolerance, then you'll get like a pool of filament of plastic that reduces your ability to control the extrusion. And all of those factors involved, there's a lot of things that go on. You need them all perfect to get good Bowden's, which is also why like Bowden's on a 1.75mm filament is a bit stupid in my opinion. You'll notice machines that do Bowden well, like the Ultimakers, are all 2.85, which is a lot thicker, so it's a lot stiffer. So you imagine the same length going through here, it's not going to flop around that easily, it's going to be pretty stiff. And the motor has to work harder, but you get better extrusion accuracy through a thicker filament through a Bowden. Did I see a video of electro noobs using a DLP printer to print a circuit board on light sensitive PCB? Pretty interesting. No, I didn't actually. That's pretty cool. I like it when people hack technologies together. No, I did not see that. That's pretty neat. I was going to turn off this ender. This is how I did the Christmas lattice, by the way. So this is a really challenging print, and this part, you can see where it got knocked, and it knocked it over, but then it kind of just recovered. And that's why Easy Peels is awesome. You just peel it off. But I'm testing all my printers with this lattice Christmas torture test, so there's going to be a video on that. Am I printing a glob? No, it's actually their demo file, which is a dog. It's just really boring to look at. However, this is more successful than the print was on the original Ender 3. So, I don't know if that's just luck, slightly better couplers, I knew what I was doing more this time, I don't know. But it's working pretty well. How do I get my prints to be so matte finish instead of high gloss? It depends on the filament. Some filaments just have a matte sort of satin finish, some have a gloss finish, depends on the makeup of it. This is going to be a very glossy filament, for example. And it also depends on temperature. Some filaments, if you print them at a lower temperature, they can become more matte or more glossy, depending on the type of plastic. And the other way, like if you print really high, they can become more glossy or more matte. It can vary like that as well. Shane from Prusa Research, welcome. We're looking at one of your competitors. Don't worry, I don't think you got anything to worry about. Different leagues. This is going pretty well. This is working pretty good. What's Mrs. Muse doing? I don't know. Probably relaxing, which is what I'll be doing after this stream. I don't know about you guys, but watching 3D prints now is like watching paint dry for me. Like, it used to be really fascinating, but I've just done it so much. It's just a tool. Like, I want it to work, and I'll come back to a part. Like, I don't need to. I'm not too fascinated by watching it anymore. I don't know. So what I think is, because this print takes like 2 hours or so to finish, I'll update you guys on Twitter. Actually, no, both. I'll do Twitter and Instagram. I'll show you what it looks like and if it has any failures. How long have we been streaming for? I have no idea. I'll stick around for a bit, answer any questions you have, and then I think it's time for lunch for me. This has been pretty good though. Look, I didn't think it was going to be as much of a kit as it was, but we got it together, and it's working, and I'll do some comparisons to the original one, but the price difference, I don't know if it's justified. It's really, they should have just made it the Ender 3 just like this, really. If they're going to do it properly, I don't understand why it has to be like Ender 3 Pro and it changes. I don't really agree with that. Don't worry, Shane, I'm just poking fun. I appreciate you watching, dude, I really do. Brett's saying unreliable printers make watching prints more interesting. It's like a suspense thriller. That's true. Watching prints like this, I know exactly where it fails because it's designed to have a steep angle here and then a really steep angle here. That's where it fails. So I know, I watch it and I can hear it start to click and grab. I know that's when it's going to start failing. Stanley's asking, from your experience, do you prefer direct drive or Bowden? 100% direct drive. I don't believe that the advantages of Bowden, in terms of the print head being lighter, give you much in terms of being able to print faster or have a more rigid machine. Because the speeds you have through the Bowden are restricted more than speeds through a direct drive anyway. Because if you try to force filament through this really quickly, it's going to start stripping. There's a lot more effort it has to push through. Whereas direct drive, it's got a much shorter path. And also for printing flexibles, direct drive all the way. It's just so much better. So I am a direct drive fanboy. That's just me. That's what I prefer. Michael's asking, could I have 3D printed that Fallout Pip-Boy case? Maybe. The original idea was to use it though, like you have this relic. It did definitely explode out of control in terms of how much work I did, but I always wanted to use the original Pip-Boy I got and the box as the basis for the printer. By the end of it, I could have just done it from scratch, yes, but I sort of like that I've adapted everything to fit in an existing product. I like that. I had to completely destroy the Pip-Boy to fit the screen in though. The back connectors of these LCDs stick out like that much, so I had to like Dremel huge holes in it. Kind of regret it, but it works. And the main thing is I've got something extremely unique. Like, no one else has a Fallout 3D printer in a box. So I just had to do it. It's like an itch I had to scratch. I had to make it. And I did. So I'm pretty happy with that. Trusty Tree, would it be possible to make this printer a direct drive? Yeah, absolutely would. So all you would need to do is remove these brackets, just leave this metal one in place, and just 3D print an adapter. And you just go from here and just remove the motor from here. Easy. I might even do it. It would be very easy to do. The only disadvantage of having direct drive on a machine like this is it adds more mass. But again, you can get around that with smaller motors or just running. I mean, you can run at the speed fine. But it's only got one lead screw, so that means on this side it might bounce a bit more. Who knows? But it could definitely be done. Definitely could be done for a very easy upgrade in terms of print quality. You notice that they do have a part cooling fan, this little thin thing. Whether that's any good or not, I'm not sure. But it's there, which is nice. Georgia, any word from Polyacme regarding delivery to Western Australia? Yes, actually, I did ask. Apparently, depending on where it is in Western Australia, the shipping can be astronomical, unfortunately. So he said to send him a message for a quote. But the problem with small companies is you don't get good shipping rates. And I think he's sort of stuck in that middle ground of he can't take a hit on shipping. So I don't know. Send him an email, ask for a quote, see if you can sort it out. It'd be nice if he had an Australian warehouse, but I don't think he does, unfortunately. Whatever happened to the 3D printer you were making mods to? That still exists. That's right here. Hold on. I don't know if you can see it. No. So that still exists. I don't know. I kind of lost interest. It works really well now. I don't need to do anything else. The other mods I was going to do were really just cosmetic. I know you can't really see it behind this Prusa one. This Ender. I don't know. I might revisit it. Yeah, go back to him. Favorite PLA available in Australia? I don't really have a favorite. I do buy a lot of eSun from Hobby King, which works pretty good. And I do like the Cocoon filament, actually. That's quite nice. That's this one. That's the Cocoon Create filament. That's a nice grey. So, yeah, they make pretty good filament. Interestingly enough, I've actually been buying a lot of filament because I haven't been taking on reviews. Any idea for a first-time 3D printer? I've got lots of videos talking about 3D printers I recommend. For $200, that's very low. I don't know if that's Australian or not. You're looking at something like one of these machines, if it's US. If it's Australian, you're looking like a Tronxy X1. Thoughts on the rail core? Looks really cool. Joel's been testing one out. Again, I've been sort of not going too far into printer reviews, but yeah, seems pretty happy with it. It looks unique. I like linear rails. Linear rails are exciting. They're a nice step up from rollers and rods. So it's nice they're doing something different, I think. Yeah. Shane, has there been an increase of the amount of 3D printing distributors around Australia in the past year? Yeah, so there's been a lot of drop shipping companies pop up. A lot of them have died off though. So there was more stores, but now it's more like just online drop shipping stuff. But there's not really many manufacturers. Very few manufacturers in Australia. There's a few guys that do filament. There's like 2 guys that do printers, like the Beast. They're in Queensland, and Gizmo. They're in Queensland as well. But there's not much. It's not much going on here. Have I considered starting up my own brand and producing really good 3D printers? Not really, because I don't know how to produce a really good 3D printer. I mean, you're looking at companies like Prusa with teams of engineers working on their machines, and they're still improving them over time. I'm one guy. My full-time job is to run a channel. I can't do that. What I've thought about doing is having a sort of store with products that I either brand under Maker's Muse for ones that I like really recommend, or just products I support, and then you can trust. Like, I wouldn't recommend selling you something that's terrible because it's my name's attached to it. Might do that, but I'm not going to make my own printer. That would be silly. I mean, there might be like a Maker's Muse edition something, but it's not going to be a Maker's Muse printer. I'm doing the Fallout printer version 2, which will be just open, but that's not going to be like a good alternative to buying a printer. It's going to be an experience in building a printer. I might do my own filament. I've talked about that for a while. Again, it would just be it would be branded from another company, and it would be grey. It would be Maker's Muse grey, because I preferred printing grey. Will my open source design be able to go to like 800 millimeters? God, no. No way. No chance. 8mm rods will not support something that big. You need to go to much heavier duty linear components. It's designed for like a tiny build volume. Have I tried 3D fillies? No, I haven't actually, but everyone says they're good, so I can recommend them from other people, but I haven't actually tried it myself. Cool. Sweet, guys. Well, I might end it there because I need to go get some food. I will update you on Instagram and Twitter on how this goes, but it's actually looking better than the other print. The other print failed. The tube popped out well before this point, so something's a little bit better here. And I will do some comparison prints between this machine and the original Ender 3. However, I would wager that I don't think they're going to be very different. I don't think the changes really make much of a functional difference. It just might be a little bit more efficient or a little bit quieter or a little bit more rigid, but I don't know. Really, there shouldn't be two versions. They both assembled the same. The filament, so both these machines came from Sain Smart. The filament's really nice actually. It's working really well. I do like their spool, their winding. And it's been fun to get back into streams, I'll be honest. I will plan to do more streams as the Christmas period approaches. I don't have any more. I might have another printer on the way, but I don't really have any reviews planned beyond maybe this. So streams might be design streams, or they might be just chill Q&A stuff, or I might do some projects and like build them talking to you guys. I don't know. I'm completely open to ideas. But yeah, it's been awesome hanging out, and thank you so much for everyone who supported as well. I do appreciate it. That goes into feeding me and keeping me happy. And yeah, if you haven't seen the full build vlog of the Fallout 3D printer, that's on the main channel over on Maker's Muse. And yeah, I think that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it, and I'll update you on how the Ender 3 Pro turns out with this print. Catch you later, guys. Bye-bye. Now I've got to find the button.